Watching news at Prime, let's get into this conversation now. A 12-member committee is set to be established to look into the issues surrounding the Ingonyama Trust board. It follows a meeting between the Land Reform Minister Mzwanele Nyontsho and AmaZulu King Misuzulu Zwelithini today. This is over the suspension of the members. For more on this, let's speak now to the minister, whom we are told is on his way from KwaNongoma. Minister, good evening to you and thank you very much for your time. Let's start with the fate of the Ingonyama Trust board and the members who were suspended. What can you tell us tonight?
Evening to you, Polly, and evening to the viewers. And sorry for talking to you over the phone. I'm in transit. Yeah, Polly, we did not talk about the fate of the board. We only spoke about establishing this committee. And this committee will investigate everything and come back to us with recommendations, including the recommendation about the fate of the members of the board.
Let's talk about then the source of, you can call it mistrust or the trust deficit between the king and the board members. Were you able to establish what is the bone of contention there?
Remember, I had an opportunity to meet with the king, who told me issues he has with the trust or with the board. That he believe they're mismanaging funds. He believes they disrespect him. He believes that they are law unto themselves. That's the king's version. And then I also met with the board, and the board was also coming up with their counter allegations that the meetings, they are calling the meetings, the chairperson is not coming, and so on. So that is why the king asked me to establish this committee, so that we establish the true facts about what is really happening.
Yeah. All right. Let's try and get closer to some of these facts, because reporting suggests that millions of rand have been lost under the stewardship of this board. How much money has been lost?
We're not sure how much money has been lost. I know people can throw figures, big figures when it comes to money. But that's the reason why we must have investigation. Because others are talking about 30 million, others are talking about 22, a farm that was sold for 22 million and so on. So we are not sure how much really was lost here. And we're also not sure at which point or at which term, or is this board or the board previously, or is the money lost before in the previous chairperson was in Mzwanele or that way. So that's what we must establish. When and what was happening and so on. So this 12-member committee will give us the picture of what is happening. He also came up with some names of people he would love to be in the committee that I must include and add to them, which is what I'm going to do.
Yeah. Were you able to put across to the king, minister, the fact that according to the legal opinion that was sought by yourself through Parliament, he does not have the powers to suspend board members?
No, I did not. He did not even mention that. He just came, we just met, and he said he really needs unity, he really needs peace, he really needs a board that is working, he really needs working relations between the minister and himself as the king. We did not even go there and say this is what was wrong, this is what is right, and so on. But I raised the concern of communication breakdown between the king and my office, because, for example, the letters that are said to be written to me and I was ignoring, I've never received not even a single one of them.
Yeah.
And also the letters that I was also writing to the king apparently did not reach the king. So we spoke about that. And then, but when we get back to the meet where we spoke to the Amakhosi, Induna, Amabutho, and so on, we we also explained to them the situation. But at that point, we were saying to them, the king has given us an instruction, and we want to carry out that instruction and form the committee and then wait for the committee's findings.
On the question of these letters back and forth between yourself and the king, and either of you not receiving these letters, there is the accusation that most of the amount of money that you have spoken about that are alleged to have been lost, had you had this meeting with the king in good time, all of this could have been averted. Do you take that on the chin? Do you take responsibility for that?
No, I did not know about that allegation, and I also do not know about it even now. Nobody mentioned to me. But all we know is that the letters the king wrote to me never reached me. And I went there with a file carrying letters where I was saying, this is what I wrote to you. I wanted to have a meeting at this point. This is what I wrote to you. And only to find out that even the king did not receive these letters. They also acknowledge that there is a communication breakdown, hence the restructuring of his private office.
Yeah. Well, it would seem, though, Minister, that at the end of the day, you are the one that has had to humble himself before the king, and that's why you brought 3 cows today. Was the intention to apologize to the king?
When I went to meet the king for the first time, only 2 weeks after my appointment as the minister, I went there with 2 cows. You should know that. When I visited the king of the Xhosa, 2 months ago, I went there with 2 cows. When I visit the kings, I always remember I'm not only a minister, but I'm also a traditional man from a traditional authority under a king and under a chief. I do everything that is done in those areas because I'm part of them.
Yeah. So the understanding, therefore, is that this would be the second time that you are gifting the king of the Zulu nation with cows.
It's a pity that you are not a king. If you were a king, we were from a royal blood. When I'm coming to your interviews, I would come with something, whether it's a sheep or a chicken. But that's what I always do.
Minister, you're not going to get off that easily. Who paid for these cows? Is it me, the taxpayer?
No. Remember, we don't. It's not the department. It is not government. It's people. It's what I would call them the amaphakathi akomkhulu. It's people around those areas. If I go to that area, those who have got some livestock, they would say, "Minister will give the king on your behalf." It's not me. It's not the department. It's not government. It's the gesture from the local people.
Yes. Okay.
Everywhere I go. Yes.
All right. Let's end the conversation then with a clear understanding of what this 12-member committee is going to do and the timeline, therefore.
No, this committee is going to investigate all these allegations around Ingonyama Trust.
Yes.
There's no timeline. The timeline is with me, 7 days to establish the committee. The king asked me to establish the committee and present it to the president before presenting it to himself. And then he suggested that in that committee, please include 3 members of the royal family. Please include 2 people with legal background. And please include people who understand culture, but there must be 12. But he mentioned that in this committee, you must have former ministers, Zwelithini. You must also have former Premier of KZN, Mr. Willis Mkunu. That's him, and that's the instruction I'm prepared to carry out.
Yeah. All right. Finally then, Minister, the public will read what happened today as a government minister, basically the authority, kowtowing to a traditional leader because the belief is that you the minister was in the wrong. I'm framing this way deliberately because I want to get to this. Between yourself, wait,
yes.
Minister, just a sec. Between yourself and the king, who has powers to dismiss board members, to suspend board members? By law,
you see,
what does the law say?
You see, Polly, before responding to that, let me clear one thing to you. You see, we took most of our time discussing exactly what you are saying, whether the king, whether I was wrong or I was right, or the king disrespected, or the minister disrespected the king, which was unfortunate because of how you're reporting these issues. We explained the law. The law is very clear. It is the minister that dismisses the board. We also explained it there today, and everybody understands that. That's the reason why the king called me and said, let's meet. That's the reason why the king also said, please establish a committee that must look at these things. Because he also understands that once you have sufficient evidence, then you can dissolve the board. So he knows that the board, the powers to dismiss or form the board, according to law, are with the minister. The portfolio committee, where I received that parliamentary legal opinion, I also received it in December. It's very clear, Tony. There's no doubt about it. And nobody is contesting that. Right. Hence they were also saying there must be there's a need to come up with submissions and change the law. That is not for me to do. I'm implementing what is in front of me, the law as it is. I explained to them. They understood.
All right. Minister, thank you very much for that clarity tonight. The Minister of Land Reform, Mzwanele Nyontsho, on the back of his meeting with the King of the Zulu Nation.